Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz. I'm in Seattle, Washington. And today I have a tough subject, and it's on worldview, on compassion, and intuition. So I'm inviting you to join in today to listen to the story, and I'm going to tell you in the ideas, and think about where you fit in to it. And I'd also love it if you chimed in, let me know you're here and where you're joining us from today at Humanity Healing, the page that Om Times Media has set up for us to connect together. So today again, welcome to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. My name is Robin Fritz. I'm an intuitive and spiritual consultant. I'm a certified past life regression specialist. And I forgot to get Fallon out so we can do a quick meditation, a grounding exercise with Fallon. So here he is. So Fallon is citrine Lemurian quartz. And today we have a tough subject on compassion, on intuition, on our worldview. And so as you get grounded and balanced with Fallon today, just think about what your worldview is and how that figures into your daily life. So, taking your attention to the top of your head, breathe down from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and just let the cares of the day wash away and feel yourself connecting with this amazing community all over the globe. So, breathing down from the top of your head, down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet. The top of your head to the bottom of your feet. And now as you breathe back up again, imagine filling yourself up with Fallon's energy and experiencing it the way your intuition works. Seeing pictures, hearing him chat, feeling his energy, or simply knowing you're connected. So breathing up from your feet, past your knees, your hips, your chest, your shoulders, your face, and the top of your head. So again, thank you for joining me today, wherever you are, and chiming in. Thanks for chiming in. So today I want to talk about a real life experience where worldview clashed with how we live in the world. Weird, huh? I mean, it happens all the time, but we don't always think about it. So let me tell you what happened. So a real life event occurred in my neighborhood last week. And I want to share what I learned from it, and I want you to chime in with what you think about worldview and compassion and intuition. So I live by the ocean here in Seattle, Washington, and last week a baby seal died on our beach. Now this seal weighed about 30 pounds, a little bit more than my dog, so the seal itself was probably only a few weeks old. It was stranded at high tide, and that day it was not only really hot out early in the morning at 8 o'clock, and as the morning grew longer, even hotter, but we had what we call a minus tide, which means the tide at low tide was even further out than normal. Now, the problem was that there was no way this baby seal could make it from where it got stranded at high tide all the way to the edge of the water over rocks. The other problem is that at least a dozen people stood there over the course of literally hours and watched that baby struggle to the edge of the water where it finally died. And I was horrified, and I'm still horrified by it. And the group of people who were there were people who watch over seals. So I assumed in my ignorance that they were going to pour water over this baby or somehow help it get to the water, because it had made a very serious mistake, and it was very obvious there was no way that baby was going to survive getting to the water. They need seawater on them to keep their bodies cool, and it was a hot day, and it was a long ways to go. But I realized I thought later, wow, if I'd realized nothing was going to be done, I would have gone out there, I would have poured seawater on it. And even though I'm handicapped, I would have figured out a way to get that baby to the water. And yes, according to our laws here in this country, I would most likely have been arrested for that and certainly fined for what they call interfering with a marine mammal. So my question is, how does that even make sense? And what does our worldview have to do with it? And what does compassion have to do with it? And where does our intuition chime in there? So here's the thing. After just like being horribly upset about it all week, I yesterday met the person who's in charge of this group that watches over seals. And I tried to have a conversation with her and the other person there, asking why this happened, why they didn't intervene, and what was the story. And they became very defensive and started screaming at me. And of course, there's no way to have a conversation there. So I left it. But the conversation up to the point where I realized we couldn't get anywhere really left me with some thoughts about how we live in the world. And that's what I really wanted to share with you today. And ironically, this same subject I will cover in my radio show this afternoon on nourishing the human-animal bond. And you can find that show at omtimes.com radio at 2 p.m. Pacific time. It's called The Practical Intuitive Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. But as I had this conversation, it left me with some thoughts. So this incident of the seal dying goes to everything that we believe in the world, whether it's the life of a baby seal or immigration or political views or even how we get along in our neighborhoods. Our worldview has a bearing on everything we think or do, and we know that, but we don't always realize it. And our worldview also has a bearing on compassion, and our intuition can guide us in making an informed decision and a choice in our daily action that values all life. So I know from my work as an intuitive, and even long before I became a professional intuitive, that everything around me is alive. I talk with trees, with animals, with windstorms, with the ocean, and yes, with wildlife. And I know that everything has a soul, that we choose the bodies that we live in for a particular lifetime to grow our soul in whatever way we can. Each soul then in that body has a job to do, a choice about doing that job, and certainly opinions. And I have a lot of fun talking with different beings and learning about their opinions and learning how they get along in the world. And we humans have cut ourselves off from that for the last 300 or 400 years. And so we're not back yet to that point where we can allow our intuition to really inform our daily lives. And this is what I learned yesterday from our conversation. Now, I know as a person who chimes in, as you all do here, and who comes to the Om Times pages and listens to our shows and lives your own, you all live your own lives and trying to be true to compassion and love. It's a worldview that matters. And I know that joining in here, you'll understand worldview. But if you hold a worldview where humans are in charge, then you're willing to allow science in a broad term to dictate your morality. And that's what I noticed yesterday. So you have really loving people like these people are. I value them. I appreciate their friendship. I appreciate their desire to watch over the seals. But they've also let critical thinking and common sense go by the wayside to get overruled by what science and the humans in charge worldview tells us. So here's how I noticed that yesterday, and I want you to think about how you notice this in your daily lives, because it matters. It matters. So the person I was trying to talk with got very angry, and yes, the seal died. That seal didn't have a chance. And the argument in defense of not doing anything was that 50% of baby seals die in their first year. Well, that's true, but it's not relevant to the issue at hand. It's not relevant to standing there for hours watching a baby seal struggle to get to the water and die because it couldn't get there. And they had a NOAA veterinarian show up hours later who said, oh, there's no way this seal can die. Well, yeah, after hours struggling to survive, it would be like you or I trying to walk 5 miles on broken legs, dehydrated, in blistering heat, and there's no way we would survive that. So the other argument was that the seal would have drowned if it had been put in the water. Somebody had picked it up and put it in the water. Well, maybe not, but at least somebody would have done something, right? And also, here's the thing that really surprised me, that it would have been cruel to pick that baby up and have it die frightened of a human and frightened in human arms. And that's where I realized that worldview is messed up. This was a real life fatal example of misplaced thinking or worldview that's not maybe serving any of us. I know as an intuitive and as an animal communicator that I said before, everything is alive and has a soul, and everything can communicate with us. We humans are not communicating with other life like other life is communicating with each other. And we need to work on that. And I know as a past life regression specialist, working with people looking at past lives, using their intuition, realizing that the universe was bigger than what they were is very common. You know, people lived that way 300 or 400 years ago, and science is what got in the way. Science and so-called rational thinking. Science that tells us that a baby seal is going to die 50% of the time. And none of that matters to compassion. And none of that matters to you putting your intuition in play, because compassion matters and love matters. And if we listen to our intuition, we know that the scientific fact that 50% of baby seals die in our first year, we would have gone, okay, fine, but I'm still going to do something to help. Even if it means honoring it in its death, even if it means it not dying alone, because compassion and love really do matter. So the moral of the story is to rethink your assumptions, to define your worldview. What is it that you think? What is it that, how do you view the world? How does the world come together in your thinking? And then how do you live that worldview? Because it really matters. So that when you see another person, animal, tree, something, another being in trouble, your first thought is, what can you do to help it? What can you do to honor it? What can you do to bless that other being on its way, whatever that way is? And if we practice this worldview, if we practice compassion, if we let love, which is simply honoring and respecting other beings and honoring ourselves as well, if we listen to our intuition, if we listen to common sense that looked at that seal on the beach and realized there's no way that baby was going to make it to the water by itself. If we let compassion, our mutual respect for all life, be part of our lives, then we wouldn't have trouble communicating with other humans, right? It wouldn't matter about their race. It wouldn't matter about their religion. It wouldn't matter about their gender identity. It wouldn't matter what country they came from. It wouldn't matter the circumstances they're living in. Because respect and compassion come first. And when we do that, we allow our intuition to come in and to give us more information. And that's what I saw lacking last week. But you know, it's lacking everywhere these days. It's lacking in our daily lives and how we get along with our neighbors and at work and in our politics. And things are beginning to shake up. So I'm asking you, what will you do today or this week to define your worldview and to put that worldview in action, to meet another being where they are, whether it's a baby seal on the beach or an old person having trouble crossing the street, needing a hand. What is your worldview? What does it mean to you? What are you going to do about it? We didn't choose our bodies so that life was going to be easy. It can be glorious and fun, but sometimes we have hard choices and sometimes we make terrible mistakes. And I believe what happened on our beach last week was a terrible mistake. And I've agonized over that all week. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. That the baby seal's death was important, but what is really important overall is how we look at the world and how we respond to the world, because we're all in it together. We're all growing our souls. And if we're not doing it with respect and compassion, and if we're not rethinking our assumptions, then we're struggling and we're not getting as far as we could be. And like I said, I didn't say it was going to be easy. It's not easy for me every day. But it's glorious when we work on it. And that's what we need to be doing. So let me see if I see any comments here. I see hello from different places. Yes, lots of positive healing to you. Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry. Brittany, yes, you would have done whatever you could to help that. I know, it's sad, and I don't mean to pull your heartstrings by sharing this story. I mean to make us stop and think about what our assumptions are. My assumption was that somebody was going to do something, and it was wrong. I should have said, wow, wait, what are you doing? So I was at fault too. But what are you going to do today to make love matter? And that's the answer. What are you going to do every single day to make love matter? Because we're not always going to get along, right, with everyone. We're not always going to be happy. We're not always going to feel great. And we are going to have some wonderful times. But we're coming to a crossroads here in the world. We are coming to a place where we have to make conscious choices. And this is one place where I saw that the worldview that science dictates what we do is wrong. And we need to add to that. It's incomplete. It's not the whole picture. And the whole picture includes starting with your worldview. How do you define the world that you live in? And how do you meet it with compassion, with love, with respect? And using your intuition. We are all intuitive. We all have healing abilities. We can all chime in there. So thank you all for chiming in. I appreciate all that. And Colette, right, we should all feel compassion for all, regardless of race, creed, borders, everything. You're right. You're right. And thank you for that. So usually I take quick questions from people for readings, but this is a really powerful subject today. So I want to leave you with that, to think about what your worldview is and how you define that, because clearly everything comes from that. And to go away knowing that this community is here for you, and we're all together, all over the world, brought together by Om Times here to share and to feel like we're part of a community. And so one thing I do want to leave you with is I do like to offer a crystal of the week. And today I'm going to offer again a crystal that I offer a lot, and that's rose quartz. Rose quartz is a pink quartz. It is really supporting unconditional love. It also supports change. It also helps nourish you as you process grief. And it helps to smooth out the bumps of life. A stone of unconditional love. It supports the heart and the throat chakra, right? But the heart chakra in particular, to boost you up when you're feeling sad, and also to help you get through the crises that, that weigh on our hearts, that weigh on our ability to love. And it's mind, body, spirit support. So I want to thank you for joining me today and appreciate your being here. And if you like these broadcasts, please like here the Humanity Healing page and the Om Times pages, and my own page, the Practical Intuitive Robin and Fritz. And you can find me here on Facebook. You can also find me at my website, robinfritz.com. That's ROBYNFRITZ.com. I offer personal and business intuition, mediumship, animal communication, space clearing, past life and between life regression, spiritual journeys, spiritual awakening. But we are all here together, doing our best in the world, trying to do our best, making mistakes, and also triumphing when we really get it all together in one place. So also, please join me this afternoon at my radio show at omtimes.com radio, The Practical Intuitive. Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World. It's 2 Pacific time, 5 Eastern time, and we're going to talk actually more about this subject, which the show was already prepared before this situation occurred. Nourishing the human-animal bond. What's right and wrong with the veterinary community? How do we protect our animals? How do we nourish the human-animal bond? Some real practical things. So listen if you can. It'll also be in the archives. Thank you for joining me today. Take care, and we'll see you next week at this time.